Welcome to the weekday Q&A with your host Ryan Kennedy, where I answer questions submitted by our listeners like yourself. These short daily episodes cover a wide variety of topics to help bring you strategies, tools, and insights to optimize your health and better your life. Now on to today's episode. Hey everyone, welcome back to the show. This is your host Ryan Kennedy coming at you with another weekday Q&A episode, with today's topic being farm-raised fish. I had one of the listeners write in asking about farm-raised fish, if it's really as bad as people say it is, if it's okay to eat once in a while, what my thoughts are overall on the topic. And I want to start by saying fish is a very healthy food to include into your diet. It contains healthy omega-3 fats, high-quality protein, assortment of micronutrients, different vitamins and minerals, and has been eaten by our ancestors and throughout human evolution for millennia. But like any animal protein, not all fish is the same. And I talk a lot about the importance of avoiding high mercury, high toxin-filled fish, which are typically bigger, longer living fish, things like swordfish, shark, larger tunas. There's a number of different fish that are definitely ones you should avoid, as there's smaller fish that are lower in mercury and other heavy metals and other, PCBs and other toxins, like wild-caught salmon and sardines and, mahi-mahi and anchovies and mackerel. So if you are interested in the heavy metal topic, which is not what today's video is about exactly, but are curious what fish I eat, what fish I think are good versus bad based on heavy metal content, feel free to send me an email, ryankennedyhealth@gmail.com, and I will be happy to send you my free fish chart I created, which lists basically every fish and seafood you can buy and eat, virtually everyone. There's maybe a couple there missing, but there's like 50 different ones on there, and their respective parts per million of mercury based on a whole bunch of lab testing that was done by the EPA, as well as my recommendation of if I think you should avoid it, if I think you should consume it, if I think it's okay to have once in a while, kind of get my opinion on it. So feel free to send me an email if you want access to that. On to today's topic, more on farm-raised fish. So farm-raised fish are raised in pens, these cages essentially, or nets rather, that are submerged in a body of water, and they're fed this unnatural diet of these man-made pellets consisting of corn, grains, soy, GMO canola oil, which all canola oil is GMO actually. No such thing as non-GMO canola oil, despite what you'll see at the Whole Foods bar. Since canola comes from the rapeseed and is genetically modified by default to become edible crop. Don't want to go down that rabbit hole too deep today. But they're also given antibiotics and synthetic pigments to make them not look so sickly and gray, in the case of salmon especially. And so I am not a fan of farm-raised fish. It's kind of comparable to eating factory farmed meat or chicken or different animal foods that are raised improperly. They're not eating their species appropriate diet. They're not out roaming in nature the way that our environment and evolution has really intended. They're being penned up by humans, given cheap, inexpensive feed so that humans can go on and sell these for a larger profit margin. So the Environmental Protection Agency, the EPA, even they only recommend eating farmed salmon no more than once per month. And this is not a conservative agency, in my opinion. So if they're only saying eating it once per month, I'm going to go ahead and say don't eat it more than once per year or at all. And I want to unpack this a little bit, especially in the context of salmon. Wild salmon get their pink color from the antioxidant-rich plankton that they eat, which is a great source of astaxanthin, a very beneficial nutrient. And astaxanthin is what gives the salmon their pink pigment. And since farm-raised salmon don't get this essential nutrient, they come out looking gray, like they look sickly. They're really gray in color. So obviously no one would buy gray-looking salmon. So the farmers give the salmon a chemical that is a synthetic pigment used in farmed salmon to give it that pinkish color. If you look at it side by side in the store at wild-caught sockeye salmon, farm-raised salmon, there's quite a difference in the pigment, but at least it resembles, a pinkish, reddish look. So the UK is banned, this synthetic pigment they use. The US, of course, still allows it. But that's just one example specifically of why I'm not a fan of farm-raised fish. And I think there's certain seafood species that do a little bit better job, but farmed salmon is the most common one I see people buying. And what's crazy to me is I've been to Costco where it's salmon season, which is typically around August, late July, August, and sometimes bleeds into early September, where you can get wild sockeye salmon at Costco for $9.99 a pound, $10 a pound, which is really affordable. It's about half the price you'll find most of the year. Well, right next to that is farm-raised salmon. Doesn't look nearly as vibrant. It's much more pale. You could tell a difference just by looking at it, even if you don't know any of the information I'm sharing on this episode. And I'll be in Costco doing a little shopping and I'll see people look at both and buy the farm-raised stuff at the same $10 a pound price. Same price, they're right next to each other, and people are going to farm-raised. I just want to go up to them and be like, dude, don't buy that. Get the wild caught. It's much better for you. But obviously I don't because, I'm not there to be teaching people about nutrition. I'm there just to do my own shopping, my own thing, and, talk to people about this in my practice every day. So I don't want to be out on the streets bothering people. I respect everyone's choice to, make their own decisions. But it's crazy to me that there's not enough awareness about this. Hence why I love this question, why I'm really glad to bring you this episode. And so bottom line is always aim for wild-caught fish, ideally varieties of fish that are low in mercury and other heavy metals and other toxins and contaminants from our environment. And you could email me for a copy of my fish chart if you'd like. And I'd love to ask a favor of you is leave a review for the show. If you've been benefiting from these weekday Q&A episodes, it mean a lot to me if you just took a few moments of your time, left a 5-star rating and a quick review about how this information has impacted your life. That helps me grow the show, it helps me reach more people, and it helps serve me on my mission to really get this information out to those who need it. So thanks for tuning in, and I will see you tomorrow. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode. If you found it helpful, please share it along to anyone else you believe it can serve. You can submit your own question to be answered on the show by going to ryankennedyhealth.com/podcast. Be sure to subscribe and leave a review for the show. Your feedback helps to support me on my mission to positively impact as many people as possible with this information. Please note, the information depicted in this episode is purely for informational purposes only. Please consult your healthcare professional before making any changes to your lifestyle or routine.